Hello, 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 and welcome to another Ielts journey with Fabi, where we talk about everything and anything Ielts test. Cool. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Fabi. I'm an Ielts expert here in Brisbane, Australia, and I help people prove their English level so they can apply for opportunities abroad. So, if you want to work abroad, you need to do the IELTS test. If you want to study abroad, you need to do the IELTS test. Okay, live abroad. So, if you like to tell me where you're watching me from, I'd like to know where you guys are watching me from. Okay, where are you in the world? All right. Okay, so just to remind you, Monday is the big, big day, huh? Monday is the big day. The first lesson of the IELTS Booster Workshop will be available. Okay, so we're going to have our first lesson. There will be 3 lessons. Okay, so the first lesson will be on the 28th, second, the 20th, and the third on the 22nd of August. And it's free to join, okay? 100% free and 100% online. So you don't have to pay and you don't have to come all the way to Australia to see me. You can see me online, okay? Cool. So if you're ready to join, if you haven't joined yet, just click on the link in the description of this video. If you're watching me on YouTube, if you're watching me on Instagram, type join in the comments and I will send you. All right, goody goody. So today we're going to talk about something that some people, they only know it works when they start doing it because it is what we call counterintuitive. It means that it's something that goes against what you think is the best thing to do. See, that's why you need an IELTS expert because when you, sorry, turn off. Because when you talk to an expert, maybe the expert will say something to you that you go like, huh, are you sure? Really? And then guess what? Yes, really, because the expert knows what they're talking about. In this case, me. Okay, so I will tell you now. Today, I will explain to you how and why studying less will help you more. Okay, how studying less will help you more. Are you ready? Yes? Cool, let's go. So, let me see my notes here. I have lots of notes. Okay, so do you know the emoji with the girl or the boy with their hands up? Okay. I want you to look for that emoji on your phones now. Okay. And I'm going to say something to you. And if it's true for you, I'd like you to raise your hand. Okay. Put your hands up. Say me, or just type me. Okay. If you don't want to look for the emoji. Okay. I'm going to say something and you tell me if it's you. Okay. First thing, you do practice tests, but keep getting the same results. Is that you? You do practice tests, but keep getting the same results. If it's you, okay. Next one. You're watching videos, okay, IELTS videos for hours, but you feel more confused. So you're watching IELTS videos for hours, but you feel more confused. Is that you? One more. You think I need to study harder, but you are already exhausted. Is that you? Hmm. More study sometimes is the opposite of more progress. Okay? Is the opposite. So, what happens with the IELTS test? You need to prepare. So, cramming. Cramming means to do a lot of it, okay? And sometimes, so let's say that you have maths test, mathematics, okay, the next day. Um, okay, you might study the night before and you cram it and you study a lot, a lot, a lot, and then you go to the test and you get a high score. IELTS is a little bit different. And I always tell people, to me, languages are a little bit different. Okay. So I don't think that you can study for an English test the same way you study for a maths test. Okay. That's my personal opinion. That's from my experience, especially for the IELTS test. Okay. So with my students, I always tell them not to study the day before. I say, don't study the day before because it's not helpful. Okay. So with the IELTS test, more is less. Actually, less is more. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you a few stories, okay, and then I'm gonna go back to what I was saying before. Okay, so just an example. It happened last week. So the last my last course, yeah, I opened enrollment, I think was 2 months ago. About 2 months ago. Yeah. And I had some people join me 2 months ago, right? And we meet every 2 weeks. Okay. And I have a student there. She's from Peru. And she started the course with me. Okay, cool. And then last week she said, Fabi, I finished the listening practice from the book. So there are 4 listening tests. She said, I finished the tests. Can I send you my tracker? Because we have a tracker, right? So my students, every time they do a test, they have a spreadsheet and they have to put all the information there. They have to put the name of the test. They have to put when they did. They have to put how they're feeling, what type of practice they're doing, everything, which score they got for each part, their comments, the types of questions. Yeah, so my students have to do that, right? So she said, Fabi, I finished. Can you check my OMT? We call it the once method tracker. It's our tracker. I said, yes. Did you complete everything? She said, yes. And I said, okay. So she sent me her OMT. Okay. And then she needs a 6. So she needs to get 25 correct, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay. She needs 25 points, right? So she got 14 points out of 40. 14 is like 5.5. She got 14. Okay, cool. And I know that because she recorded everything. So I looked at the first one. Okay, 14 was like, Second one, 22. I was like, cool. She's improving. Almost her 6. And then she did that 1 week and then the following week. And then she didn't do anything for a month. And then she went back and did another one. And she got 29 out of 40. I was like, oh, that's 6.5 already. And then she did the 4th practice. So first practice, 14. Second one, 22. Third one, 29. Guess what was her score for her 4th practice? She got 36. That's like 8.5. She got 36 points. I was like, oh, I messaged her straight away and I sent her an audio. Oh my God, you're doing so well, blah, 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 blah. And then, yeah, and why? And she did one practice and then the week after another practice. And then she took a long break and then 2 more practices. And I said to her, I said, you took no, and I said to her, you did so well. And she was explaining to me. She said, yes, Fabi, when we started the course, I did one practice, then I did the other practice. Then I needed to travel. I had to go to the United States for holidays with my family. And I said, that's cool. She's like, yeah, it's cool. But I was thinking, I'm not studying. I'm not studying. I'm not studying. And then I said, yeah, but you were in the United States. You're practicing your English. She said, yes, I was. And then when she did the test, she's like, yeah, it's funny because I took a break and I thought it was going to be bad, but it helped me. And guys, she needs a 6 and she's getting 8.5 now in listening. She has to study the other parts of the test. But can you see, only with 4 tests, and she followed the method completely. She started with 14 points, 14 points only. And then she kept improving, improving, improving. Actually, I'm going to make a video of her progress because it's perfect. That's exactly what I see every day with my students. It was just so recent that I wanted to share with you guys. So, what am I saying? She didn't do test after test after test. She did 4 very well. She looked at it. She even went on holidays in the middle because she had holidays and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go, I'm going to enjoy. But in the back of her mind, she was thinking about the test. And then as soon as she got back from her holiday, she started practicing again. And guess what? It really helped her. So sometimes I do tell my students to take a break. I tell them to take a break. And they say, no, Fabi, I can't take a break. Yes, you need a break. Because sometimes, guys, we need time to learn things, we need that time to actually learn things and absorb the information so you can apply. Because sometimes what's happening is everything here, you just can't apply yet. And sometimes to be able to apply what's in here, we need a little break. Okay. So that's why I'm saying that studying more sometimes is the worst thing you can do. The worst thing you can do. That's why with my students, we make a plan, we talk about it. Okay. We check what we have to do today, and there is a system. And that's where I say it's not about studying hard, it's about studying strategically. It's about knowing each step that you have to take. That's what studying for the Ielts test. Okay? You go and you know exactly what to do, because if you just go and you do test after test after test, you're likely to get the exact same score. One of my students in my course, she was really worried about her score, because it was taking her a while to improve. And then one day, guess what? She was a little bit upset. She did a listening test and got a low score. So, what I tell my students to do is, if you got a bad score, if you're unhappy with your score, you go and you decide to analyze everything, take a break, come back the next day, with a fresh eyes, because when you're angry, everything looks worse. Have had a situation where, like something bad happened and then bad things keep happening, because you're just you're in that mindset. Oh, bad, bad, bad. But if something bad happens and take a step back and you go, okay, what's happening here? Think about it and go back to the next day. It will be better. It's the same thing with the IELTS test. If you get a really bad score today, take a break, stop. Oh my God, this one was so bad. Why? Why was this one so bad? And I always talk to my students about that. Was it bad because the questions were hard? Was it bad because the English was difficult? Was it bad because you were tired? Maybe you usually do your practice in the morning and you did your practice before going to bed and you were very tired. There's so many things that contribute, so many things. And then it's my job to tell you all the possibilities, but it's your job to know why. Why was this one so bad? If I ask, My student who progressed, she knows exactly what she did wrong and then she improved. She did something wrong and then she improved. And that's how you achieve your score. It's not by doing one test every day. Oh my God, every student, new student, they come to me and they say, "Oh, Fabi, I'm going to practice every day, one full test every day." I say, "No, no, 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 no." It's like, "No, but I have to study." Yeah, you have to study the right way, not the wrong way. Okay. And guys, why am I saying this to you? Because I see this every day. I see this every day. It's practice, 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 but it's not get a reading test, do it, check your score. Oh, it was terrible. I'm going to do another one. Oh, it was terrible. I'm going to do another one. No, that's not how you practice for the IELTS test. This will give you actually worst, worse scores. So I have a student. He met me 3, 4 months after he had started studying for the IELTS test. So he met me, and then within 2 weeks, he improved from a 5.5 to a 7.5 in listening and reading. Okay, he improved a lot. And then he couldn't believe it. He was like, "Oh my God, how come I've been studying for 5 months? How come in 2 weeks I improved like this?" And I was like, "What were you doing before?" He said, "Oh, I would get home, okay, and then I would do one for listening, one for reading. Next day, one for listening, one for reading." I was like, "What were your scores?" Like, "Oh, usually on Monday, I would get 6. And then on Tuesday, I'd get 5.5. And then my score would go down on Fridays. And on the weekends, I was so upset, I wouldn't study anything." I was like, "That sounds good, right?" And I said to him, "Can you see the Monday is the best day?" He's like, "Why?" I said, "Because you rested." He's like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." And I said, "Stop doing that. Relax. Okay, relax and do a little bit less." And that's when he improved. And he went from a 5.5 to a 7, sometimes even 7, sometimes 8, because he really got how to do it. And it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And not just quality, it's following a method, is knowing what you're doing. Okay. So that's why studying too much or just studying more is not going to help you. Okay. So, guys, one thing I just want you to think about is, okay, so with the IELTS test, if you're practicing, if you're doing your practice and you are not achieving the score you need, you're doing something wrong. Do you agree? There's something that is not working. So, you have to find out what's not working. Because if you just do more tests, you keep doing the wrong thing over and over and over again. And you don't want that. Because, again, guys, and that's kind of obvious. It's funny how a few things that are obvious, but we forget, especially when we are in the middle of the situation. You really need your score and you forget about everything else, right? So, it's kind of obvious that if we keep doing the same thing in the same way, we will get the same results. The IELTS test is not different. It's not different at all. If you did one practice test today, you need a 7 and you got 5.5, you're doing something wrong. What is it that you're doing wrong? Okay. With my students, we have a specific method to find out what they're doing wrong. And from there, we can make a plan to improve. That's why this student, she managed to improve because she followed everything I recommend. I said, "You have to do it like this." And she did it. And she succeeded. Okay. But she was very lucky that she had me. So she didn't have to go through what most people go through, doing test after test after test and getting the exact same score. Okay, so that's frustrating. And that's why maybe she progressed because she didn't have that experience. She didn't have the, oh my God, I did another one and I got the exact same score. She just improved and improved and improved. Okay, because she followed the method and she was thinking about quality, not quantity. Okay, I have to show you the OMT, guys, the one's method tracker. I have to show you. There's so much stuff that my students have to type in and complete. So many things that they have to complete. But there's a reason for that. And they trust me. So they go and they do it and they see the progress. Okay. So stop studying too much. It's not going to help you, especially if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. If you're always getting the same score, it's because you're doing something wrong and you have to improve a few things. Okay. And again, guys, you don't need to get a 7, you don't need to get an 8. You need to get the score you need. Focus on your score. If you're not getting the score you need, you have a problem and we have to fix it. Okay, cool. Someone saying hi on Instagram. Hello. Okay, guys. So everything I'm telling you here about my method and everything, I will also be talking about it in the IELTS Booster Workshop. Okay, so if you are ready to take your IELTS game to the next level, if you have tried the test and didn't succeed, if you know you have to do the test, but you haven't started practicing yet, or if you are practicing, but just want to know a little bit more about the IELTS test, the workshop is for you. Okay, it's 100% free and 100% online. Okay, it's free and online. I just need your time, okay? And your commitment. I'm very happy some people have been sending me messages on WhatsApp saying, Fabi, oh my God, when is the class? I really want to watch the class. I'm worried about the Jesus, I forgot. The time zones. The time difference. Oh my God, forgot a word. I'm worried about the time difference. And yeah, guys, the lessons will be available Monday, 8 p.m. Brisbane time. So if you are in the Americas, it will be in the morning, possibly. Depends on where you are. It'll be in the morning. But then the lessons will be available until Sunday. So if you miss the exact time when it's available, you can watch later. Okay, my recommendation is put that in your calendar and make sure you watch it on the day. Okay, make sure you watch it on the day. It's the best thing you can do. All right, goody, goody. Okay, any questions for me, guys? Any questions so far? No questions yet? Cool. Let me check my notes and see if I forgot anything. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I'm checking my notes here. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So let me just go back to what we talked about earlier. Okay. So you practice, test, but keep getting the same results. If that's you, okay, you have to find out what you are doing wrong. Okay. You have to find that out. Because if you keep doing the same thing in the same way, you will always get the same results. Deal? Okay, I want you to write it in the comments here or send me a direct message on Instagram to tell me what you were doing different. Okay, maybe find out what you do wrong. Hey, Fab, this is what I'm doing wrong, and that's what I'm going to do different. I want you to do that. Okay, guys, because if you don't do that, you keep getting the exact same results forever and ever and ever. Okay, another mistake, watching videos on YouTube. I know that's what you're doing right now if you're with me on YouTube, okay? But guys, watching videos about the IELTS test on YouTube is not studying. I already told you that. I'm here to give you information about the test and to help guide you. Okay, but This is not studying. Studying is having a method, knowing what you're doing, getting the book, and really, really doing the test, practicing. This is studying. Watching videos on YouTube is not studying. I'm sorry. Okay. You shouldn't be doing that. You do that, but don't do it too much. Okay. With my students, when they become my students, they cannot watch anything on YouTube, only my videos. I tell them, stop, because you get conflicting information. And my method is very specific. What I tell people is very, very different. So they go and they watch stuff on YouTube, and that's the complete opposite of what I tell my students to do. So that becomes a problem for me because then they have this conflicting information. They don't know what to do. I tell them, no, follow my method. Okay. And if not working for you, talk to me. We'll work it out. We'll do something. Okay. And again, if you are not getting the score you need, okay, you're practicing, you're not getting the score you need, it's not that you need to study harder. You need to study right, because that's what's stopping most people from getting the score they need. They are just not studying correctly. All right. Sounds good? Yeah. Any questions for me? No questions today? No? No? All good. So today we talked about how studying less will help you. And it's true. It does. It totally does. Okay. So studying less for the IELTS test is actually a strategy, because when you study with a plan, when you study strategically with good strategies, you don't need to study a lot. You study a little bit and you have great results. Okay. So I'll be back tomorrow again with you guys to talk a little bit more about the IELTS test. Okay. And make sure you join the workshop. Okay. So the link is here in the description of the video if you're watching me on YouTube. And if you're watching me on Instagram, if you type join in the comments, you will get a direct message from me with the link so you can join. Okay. Any final questions for me? No? Mm-mm. All right. Okay. So I will be going now, but I will be back tomorrow. All right. See you. Bye.